Okay, so let's start recording your podcast. There's two ways of doing it. There is the old style way and there is the new way, and I'm going to show you what I think is a real huge improvement to what most people talk about when it comes to podcasting. Now, there's two types of podcasts basically. There's ones that you create on your own, a solo show. It could be with friends, family, whatever, and there's the kind of interview shows. Now, the interview shows are really important for your business because it builds network, it builds connection. You might be wondering why so many people take the effort or go to the effort of actually interviewing people. It's because not only does it build up a connection with that person, you build up a connection with their people, so you can say after the show, thank you so much for being on. If you know anybody else who you think would be a fit for the show, and then boom, you're starting to get guests, they will share it. So it's a great way of growing your audience by having an interview on there. But of course it has some kind of issues, and one of those issues is how do you actually record. Now, for years we have been using Skype, and I've done Skype for probably 900 of the 1,000 episodes. Literally every single one other than a solo show, I have done Skype. And what I don't like about Skype, and I could never get around it, was two things. Number one, the frequency, the bandwidth would go up and down, and you'd get the kind of what I call a boingy effect when the person's and you just can't quite hear them. And that's not good in a podcast episode. So sometimes I had to edit it together so that the boingy wasn't as bad, especially when you were doing sort of transatlantic and to Australia and to places where interesting guests are, but the Wi-Fi connection isn't that good. So that is one of the things I didn't like about it. And secondly, it has a thing that kind of, when you're talking at the same time as them, you can't hear either of you. It kind of zeroes each other out, and so it can become a bit stop-start. Now, you can work through it, as we all have done, and find different ways of operating within that field of Skype. But what I think is a simpler way for you to start your podcast is using a system called Cleanfeed. And it works on a Chrome browser. So as long as you've got Chrome operating and your guest has got Chrome operating, it is a really simple way of recording a podcast interview. Now, you can record directly on the system, which I'm going to show you how to do. It's a great way of starting, but of course afterwards you will need to use some kind of other device to put your intros and outros on there, the music that makes it more of a podcast. Okay, but this is Cleanfeed, and this is going to be probably the first stage. I might break this into two modules showing you how to record, but this is the way that I think that you should start recording interviews the best way possible, and it's the way that I'm using all the time now. Right, okay, so if you go over to Google, and as I say, it is a Chrome browser this thing operates, and you'll see Cleanfeed, CLEANFEED.net, and I'm going to click on that, and you do need to set up, but it's very, very easy. All you do is click Get Started, and just fill in your information and read and agree to the terms. You can see my details are already stored in here, okay, but that's all you've got to do. You just got to tell them the barest information, and then you're ready to go. So I'm going to jump back on, and I'm going to log in to the account and start. Okay, so as you can see, I'm talking at the moment and it's picking up my microphone. So that is my audio coming through. And all you got to do is come over to this this cog and click on it and decide on what format you want your audio to be picked up on. Okay, and you click the box, and you can see all the different microphones that I have set up. So you can either have your default microphone, whatever comes up on there, you will determine what is best for you. Now, I always use my voice meter output, which is an advanced way of recording, but you would probably be using your default microphone. Okay, now all you need to do on this to get the guest connected is click connect, and then put in the name. I always put the name of the guest, so let's say Jim Smith, so they know it's them, and put their email address in, and then invite them. Okay, now if I go over to let's do this, let's do myself. Okay, so I'll go David Ralph test, and we go joinupdots@gmail.com. That's my email, and I'm going to click invite, and then I'm just going to jump over to my Gmail, and it might make a bit of funny noise because suddenly my microphone is going to be causing issues because that's going to be broadcasting, so it might make a difference, but let's have a look. So your Cleanfeed pass. So your guest, all they've got to do is click on here. Okay, click connect. David Ralph at Join Up Dots has invited you to join them on Cleanfeed. They click connect, and there we are, we're both connected. Okay, that is the guest, that is myself. Sorry, that's me, that's the guest, but on my setup it's the opposite way round. So that's where I would be looking, like that. That is how the guest is looking. So they will have a connection, and you can see it will pick up their microphone instantly dependent on what it's plugged in at. Really, really easy. Now if I jump back onto my system here, because I'm the podcaster, there's a button at the top called record, and I can click on that, and I can decide whether I want to record everyone on one file, or I want to do separate tracks, or I want to do audio. So in this case I'm going to do separate tracks, so it's going to record the guest and me separately, and all I've got to do is press record, and you can see it's now recording onto that middle track, 0.4, 0.5, 0.6. Once I've finished the interview and I'm happy that it's all been done, all I do is go over to the square on the right hand side, hold down the left mouse button, and you can see it's converted it into a WAV audio file, David Ralph, Friday, and the time. I save it, and that is my interview done. Really, really easy way of doing it, but of course that's only the interview section. You will need to take it from there to be able to put it onto the intros and outros, but I think that is a marvellous way, and the audio quality is premium. It has blown me away, and so I don't use Skype anymore, I just use that. That's called Cleanfeed, and as I say, it's as simple as connecting with somebody, and you can have multiple. If you want to have multiple guests, you do exactly the same, send it to them, and then you would have two guests and yourself. You can build it up. They get an email, all they have to do is click on it, and then they will see it from that side, you'll see it from that side, but of course you've got the control to press record and turn it into whatever file you want. Okay, so how simple is that? A two-step process. You log on, you send an email to your guest, and then they click on it, and instantly you're connected. And I promise you, as I say, the audio has blown me away. You get none of that over talking, you get none of that bouncy business. It is just crystal clear audio all the way, and it will set your podcast ahead of the game, where most people are still clinging to the old style using Skype, which I used for many years. And that is another reason why you going through this content, you going through this course, is the best place you can possibly come to start your podcasting. We're teaching you things that other people aren't using, but will set you ahead. Really easy to record, really easy to convert it into a file, and best of all, your guest will find it easy as well.